Hey, what's going on, everyone? This is Bernie with CG Spectrum. Happy Monday. Hope everyone had a great weekend. I did. Again, a lot of swimming, a lot of outdoor activities. We went to some water conservation place around my neighborhood with my parents and my kids. Walked around. We saw a lot of different kinds of birds, actually. Saw a really big hawk, a dead giant catfish on the shore, clams in the water, things like that. It was super hot actually, but still we had fun. Let me know what you guys did over the weekend. Today, we're gonna get started on, or we're gonna finish up this drawing. I don't know if you guys remember. This is what my son did. Go back to the original drawing. My 9-year-old son drew this one. It's a husky in a space marine suit. So we're just gonna finish this guy up while I wait on feedback for my orthos. Hey, what's up, Glitter? Waiting on feedback on my orthos for the kaiju. And I'm not going to think about that for as long as I can. So we'll just finish this guy up today. Hope you guys are okay with that. Actually look forward to painting this more than anything right now on my plate. I think it's just because I get to have a break away from all the normal work that I do. This is just kind of completely for fun. So it's different from what I'm used to doing, so it's fun. Anyways, yeah, what we're gonna do is we're just gonna detail this guy up and probably add a few things here and there to it, design-wise. I'm trying to remember what I was thinking before. Oh, you worked on your mech over the weekend? Cool. Are you used to always designing mechs? Is that what you're into? Glitter? Glitter Daddy? Let's see. Hey, what's up, Enrico? How you doing? Look at what I'm drawing. My kid's drawing. My kid's my art director now. So I think I told you guys my kids have been going to art class recently during the summer. It's one of those after school programs. I don't even remember what it's called, but it's like one of those Renaissance, whatever, like the places they teach you like traditional stuff, traditional ways of drawing or painting. But anyways, it's only been their 3rd class and they're already getting so much better and they really enjoy it. It's kind of fun for me as a parent who's an artist to see my kids really learning art and enjoying it. Some people will say, well, you're an artist, why don't you teach your own kids? There's probably many reasons why I shouldn't do that right now. It's because I'm probably going to be too critical of what they do, even when I try not to be. So it's better to stay out of the way, you know, with their initial experience of learning art. I know the art teacher they currently have is super, super nice. They love her. You know, all art teachers usually are super nice when you're in like elementary school or even up to high school. All my art teachers were awesome. Like, they're my favorite teachers. They're always so encouraging and positive, right? And like, I guess it's also because there's no wrong answer sometimes with art, so they're not super critical. Yeah, and they're just there to guide you, right? I don't think my students could say the same thing about me as a mentor, but I would say my excuse is because I'm trying to train you guys to like really get a job, right, in the industry. So I'm going to be much, much, much more critical because, you know, it's super serious stuff. It's like super competitive. I got to train you guys, prep you guys to be ready for what's out there. So yeah, I'm going to be super critical. And hopefully encouraging at the same time. But anyways, yeah, so they love their art class. One of my younger son didn't want to initially do the art class. I just told him to try one class out and then he doesn't have to go if he doesn't like it. But he ended up loving it, so that's awesome too. And right now they're using those dry pastels. You know what I'm talking about? The dry pastels to draw. And they're actually using my old, I think it's called the brand is New Pastels, from what I used to use in college, which is interesting and fun to see as well. Them using stuff that I was using in college. Yeah, it gives me more joy than I thought it would to see them enjoying art. But yeah, later on when they're older, I think, I mean, I'll teach them things here and there, but I think I'm gonna wait till they're maybe 12 to really give them instruction. Because again, I don't want to taint their experience of learning art, which I very well can do. I know that I can possibly do that. So I want to stay out of it as long as I can, to be honest. Enrico says, seems to have quite a clear idea of what the product must look good at. Hey, what's up, Murtaza? I don't think I've seen you here. How you doing? Hey, by the way, Jessica, if you're there, let me know. I know you want to ask some questions, right? So any questions you have, please ask. Hey, what's up, I don't know how to pronounce the name. Sikosan? What's up? So yeah, by the way, any of you, if you have any questions, please ask anything you want. It could be anything. It doesn't even have to be art related. But ideally it is art related. But you know, again, ask whatever you want. Today's gonna be chill. More than usual. Let's add effects to this ball thingy. Make it cool. Let's see. Maybe we'll add some like Dragon Ball electricity to it. But yeah, Jessica, if you're there, let me know, okay? And Jessica wanted to ask me about some stuff about Blizzard. my experience at Blizzard and stuff like that. I think I went too bright too quick here. With effects, you really have to practice a lot to get used to it, to get it right, or to get a feeling for it. Usually when I see students working on effects, they rush it too quickly, and then they wonder why it looks horrible. So definitely spend your time and do many different passes on it until it looks right. And by doing passes, you're also obviously getting experience, right? It's like you did 4 different paintings of effects without doing 4, right? So that's the way to get better at things. And if you're into fantasy, like concept art, you better learn how to do effects really well, because you're going to be doing a lot of them. Yep. And it gets much easier, like I said, with experience. I probably did, some of you guys already know this, but man, I must have been on effects for 3 to 4 months at Blizzard doing just effects concepts. I got labeled as the effects guy for like 3-4 months. I don't know how I broke out of that, but I did eventually. But yeah, sometimes you gotta be careful of those things. You get labeled as like the guy who does effects, or the guy who does like the ground cracks and everything, which my friend did. You get labeled as like a certain type of like artist sometimes. And when that happens, or when that's about to happen, you got to be able to recognize it and try to find have an exit strategy. Unless you love doing it, right? Like, I was the character guy too, or like the dragon guy for a while, so that was a good thing. Or the demon guy, I was good at drawing demons, so, oh, Bernie, you got a demon concept? Give it to Bernie, you know what I mean? So those things are good things to be labeled as, in my situation, but some things like the effects is not cool. I mean, once in a while it's all good, but to be stuck on it for months, like you wake up, you do effects, the next day you do more effects for 4 months. That wasn't fun. I mean, it was alright, but again, the whole time I'm thinking, how am I going to get out of this? But that's how I did get better at doing effects. And how to get faster at it, right? You learn like different things, different tricks or whatever. Oh, you're a new mentor here, huh? I can't pronounce your name. That's not your real name, is it? Psychosin? Psychosin? I said Psychosin. Psychosin sounds bad. Psychosin. Sorry. Psychosin? I don't know. Anyways, welcome. Yeah, you shouldn't check this live stream out. This is not the ideal live stream. This is how not to do a live stream. If you see my other orthographic view ones, I'm complaining the whole time, so don't watch this. Unless they told you to watch this one and say, hey, this is not how you should do things, okay? We're showing you. So you don't repeat what Bernie's doing. But yeah, thanks for the compliment. Lovely work. This is, yeah, my drawing over my son's drawing here. My son does some lovely work. I'll show you the original again. right there. He got a kick out of it. He saw the work in progress and he just loved it. So I think he's gonna have a great time seeing it finished. I think it just really helps him to see that his ideas are good, and he just has to work on, like, you know, visually communicating clearly what his ideas are on paper. Yeah, so it motivates him to want to like learn how to render things, right? So that part is fun to see. Oops. Psycho-san. Psycho-san. Are you the new part-timer? Or are you are you just doing freelance, like taking are you part of the digital art program? Psycho-san? Hey Rafa. Hey Sandra, I'm using Photoshop. I know a lot of you guys use Procreate. My kids use Procreate, and it's pretty intuitive. I just let them use it, and then they start painting away, and they actually know more than I do now, because I don't really use Procreate too much, or I haven't got to play around with it. So they're like, Dad, I already know. When I try to tell them stuff, they're like, leave me alone, I already know, Dad. You're a dinosaur, Dad. Go on your Photoshop. I chose the wrong color here. Let me go back. So yeah, like I was saying, my kids love art right now, which is awesome to see. So I also told you guys we've been swimming a lot, and it's also good to see that the thousands of dollars I spent on their swimming lessons have paid off finally. They're finally able to swim pretty well now, comfortably. And I spent thousands because they are slow learners when it comes to swimming, or I think anything like athletic. And honestly, I was a bit surprised by how slow they were at learning, because I remember when I was a kid, I learned swimming like in the huge group class. Like there must have been like 40 kids or something, like 30, 40 kids. And I learned it like within a summer. I just learned how to swim. But then my kids, for some reason, were super slow at learning swimming. Like, it must have been years, or maybe I started too early, I don't know, but I've seen other kids who learned it really fast. Yeah, even at an early age. So I don't know what was going on. I literally spent thousands of dollars trying to teach them swimming. So finally. And then the other day, my youngest son, almost quit Taekwondo. They do Taekwondo. They've been doing it for over 2 years now, and they're gonna get their black belt in, I guess next year sometime, early next year. It takes about 3 years usually to get a black belt. And my youngest son almost quit last week because he said his master was being mean to him. And to be honest, the master is kind of mean. Like, he's not very careful with how he speaks to kids. And so I guess that was it for my son. He got pissed off and he actually teared up during the class, and then he was like, I quit. But anyways, he decided not to quit after he thought about it over the weekend. I think the main reason why he didn't want to quit was because his older brother would have a black belt and he wouldn't. So he couldn't live with that, I think. Yeah, Psycho-san. Okay, I'm gonna call you Psycho now. No, I'm just kidding. Yes, this is how not to do a live stream. Don't offend other mentors by calling them Psycho. Oh, you're a freelance? So Psycho-san says, I'm a freelance mentor, 2D animation. Awesome. Well, glad you're here. 2D animation, that's cool. Why don't you do, are you thinking about doing some live streams? And are you currently freelancing in terms of like your other gigs, or what are you doing? Besides, I'm saying CG Spectrum. Alright, let me focus. Let's see. What are we going to do here? I think I'll start with the face. A lot of the times I'll start with the face when I'm not sure what to do, just to, in terms of like adding more detail, because the face is obviously the focal area. And what I do with the face will determine what I do with a lot of the rest of the image. I'm going to pull up some Husky reference real quick, just to make sure I have some guidelines here. Alright. I wish I could have a Husky. My kid really wants a Husky, but those things shed like crazy, so I said no. But they're so handsome. My neighbor has a Husky, actually. So I let my kids peek over the neighbor's yard once in a while. Interesting. So I was wrong. The patterns are different from how I imagined it. Take that out. That's why you gotta look at reference. It's like he has ash all over his face. Hey, Lord Luigi. Psycho-san says, probably too soon for live streams for me, and yeah, still freelancing. Psycho. Okay, cool. Try it out sometime. I didn't want to I didn't want to do this either. But it's actually pretty fun. I just don't like doing the ortho views, to be honest, for the characters. I hate it. I hate doing it at my jobs. So I always avoid doing orthos at my workplaces. I don't have to do any right now, thank God. But now I gotta do it for teaching, for being. And so like, what happened? You know, I thought if I was teaching, I would for sure not have to do orthos, but they somehow tricked me into doing orthos on streams live. Imagine that. I gotta do it live now, so everyone could see me doing these orthos. What did I do wrong to deserve this in life? I can't get away from it. Anyways, I'm just half joking, but for sure I'm not joking about how much I hate orthos, but just joking around about complaining, kinda. Oh, that looks weird. That looks odd. Oh, I'm just gonna delete that. Once again, Jessica, if you're out there, make sure to speak up about the questions you have. Hey, if you don't mind, Psycho, if you don't mind, let me ask you some questions actually, because I'm curious. So you're a 2D animator. So these days, what's out there for 2D animators? That's my question. Because I know people use Flash and all that stuff to like do some 2D animation stuff. Is that what's like a majority of the jobs, or like what's the majority of the jobs that are out there for 2D animators right now? Like back in the day, you know, people used to think it's like, you know, working for Disney or whatever, right, to do 2D stuff, or cartoons, like Nickelodeon maybe, or different cartoon studios, right? But like, what's out there these days? What's the up and coming areas? What's growing out there right now for the 2D animators? I know, like, even when I was at Blizzard, they had cinematics that were completely, well, I guess it's not completely 2D, but it's basically 2D on top of some 3D elements. But it's supposed to look like, you know, drawings being sketched out, fleshed out as things are being animated for Diablo. I don't know if you guys are familiar with that. So I know those things exist as well. Alright, Psycho says 2D is back in fashion actually. There's a demand for anime influenced animation. Oh yeah, so anime is obviously huge right now. Or it's been huge and it's growing. For sure, even on you watch Netflix and things like that, it's obvious that it's growing. And that's anyways, Psycho also says, and that's across all media, games, TV, advertising, etc. There's plenty of jobs out there these days. I work more in advertising. Okay, awesome. That's good to hear. That is good news for artists. What programs do you use when you're doing 2D animation stuff? This has turned into an interview with Psycho. Didn't volunteer, or I don't even know if it's he, she, but Psycho didn't volunteer, but I'm forcing Psycho to do the interview. What's up, Alan? Alan says, I had a question about brushes. In ZBrush, I use like 5 different ones a lot. So what would you say are the most useful for you in Photoshop? Same question to you, Psycho, if you don't mind. Yeah, you're probably asking the wrong person about brushes, because all I use most of the time, unless I have to use a different brush, is just the round brush, hard round brush, and the airbrush, and once in a while the textured brush if I need texture. And again, for specific cases I will use different brushes, but again, 90% of the time I'm just using these two. Isn't that funny? I keep it simple because I'm stupid. No, seriously, I keep everything simple. I do adjust the hardness of the brush when I'm on a like hard edge brush here. I'll adjust that just to get, you know, smoother transitions between the values and colors and things like that. But I keep it very, very simple. If I'm doing environments, I would say, or if you are doing environments, I really highly recommend that you do explore the brushes. Like, it's just going to make things easier and more effective. But for character artwork, like for what I do most of the time, it's just not necessary. But when I do like fur textures, or maybe again, when like something has to look grungy or more weathered, I will explore different textured brushes. Like at the very end, I'll throw those textures down just to, you know, give the indication of whatever texture I'm trying to indicate. Other than that though, when I'm just doing my base layer, I just go with the round brush. Fine. But again, I trained myself to get used to how to indicate texture with these simple brushes. So it might not work for everyone. I mean, I wouldn't say you have to keep it simple. Explore, you know. I just trained myself that way. And it just might be because I'm a simple guy that I'm doing it that way. A simpleton. I'm a simpleton. But I think a lot of artists are simpletons. But again, there's other artists who are, you know, very technically savvy, or they, you know, they want to find like super efficient ways of doing everything, which is good, you know, it can be very good. So, you know, everyone's just different. I like keeping things simple, so I could focus on like whatever I'm doing instead of like trying to decide what brush to use. Oopsie. Heiko says the main apps used these days for 2D animation are Toon Boom and TV Paint. However, I use Photoshop for animation. Oh, interesting. It's actually pretty good, but there are many options out there and some are even free to use. That's good to know, Heiko. Thanks. I didn't know you use Photoshop for animation. That's interesting. Alan says, I like that answer. That's what I've tried to do. You must be a simpleton as well, just like me, which is fine. You can't change the way you really are, right? You can adjust, but you can't completely change yourself. Or it's very, very hard to go against how you're built. You know what I mean? Sandra asks, do you have any suggestions for a good starter graphic tablet? You're talking, so you're not talking about Cintiqs, right? You're asking about like just a tablet that you draw on. I would just go. I can't really say. I mean, what I'm familiar with is all the Wacom tablets, or Wacom, is it? Wacom? I don't know how to pronounce it. Those tablets are the ones I'm familiar with. I know there's new ones out there, like a bunch of new competitors, right? But I just haven't used any of them. I haven't reviewed any of them, so anyone who has like information or advice to Sandra, please give it out in the chat. Because I know even some of the Cintiqs that are out there that are not the Wacom brand, I hear they're good, so yeah, I mean, do your research or ask around. But I can't imagine that a tablet would be that different. I'm sure if you read the reviews and they're good, they should be decent enough. It's usually like a price difference, right? Oops. Not doing a good job with that. My bad. That's not looking right. Oops. So let me ask you more questions, Heiko. Did you always know that you wanted to do 2D animation for like the longest time, or did you switch what you wanted to do in art along the way? Sorry, I'm making you part of the stream, but I think it'll be interesting to whoever's watching. If you don't want to talk or answer those questions, I'm fine. Just don't respond. Seriously though, you don't have to, of course. It's better than me rambling the whole time. Oh, there you go. Alright, Psycho. Thanks for stopping by. It was fun chatting. I'll see you around. Bye. Psycho also said, regarding brushes in Photoshop, I use the basic brushes like 95% of the time. Yep. I guess a lot of us are the same, huh? Alan says, I was just worried I'm the idiot that refuses to step up his brush game. We might all be idiots here. I'm just kidding. Well, you and me at least. I think it just depends on your style. Some art styles too, it requires you to be able to use different style brushes, right? To get a certain look. So it depends on your style as well. Alan also says, I've been using a Wacom one forever and it's worked fine for me. Yeah, they should be fine. It's just a tablet, you know. A simple tablet. Whoops. Let me actually check out. Jessica, are you there? If you're not there again, I'm gonna look at the questions you had and see if I could just answer them right now during the stream. Okay. I hope you don't mind, even though you're not here, Jessica, if I answer. I'll refer you to the stream. Right now it's 10:46 Pacific. So we're about 45 minutes in to the stream. You could check around the 45-minute mark. Uh-oh. So she writes, over the past few months, I've been in contact with some artists at Blizzard, which have been a big motivation. I know you used to work there, and I was wondering if you had any time to maybe do a... Okay, whatever. She wanted to know about my experience there, okay? Yeah, so I'll just generally, I guess there's no specific question on Blizzard here by Jessica from the message she sent me, so I will just briefly go over my experience at Blizzard. This was a long time ago, actually. When was this? I joined Blizzard, I believe, in 2007, and I was there for at least 5 years. It was over 5 years. But yeah, I joined the cinematic art team, or the cinematic team, as a concept artist. Started on Burning Crusade, actually. That was my first project that I worked on. Worked on the Draenei, actually, that's in the cinematic. It's a Paladin Draenei. Yeah, so was a concept artist, working on the cinematic team. Super fun and experience. Got to work on all the games, really. Diablo 3, Starcraft 2. Of course, all the expansions for World of Warcraft. Up until, I think the last one I worked on was the Pandaren one. And then worked on some pre-production, like super early pre-production artwork for Overwatch. So that was fun as well. Did some toy designs, or sculpture designs. You know, the sculptures that they sell. Did stuff like that. But yeah, again, had a good experience there. Everybody was cool. Great artists. And being on the cinematic team, it was fun to just work on all the different games that they were working on at the time. We also got to work on in-game art during our downtimes because, of course, we're not always making cinematics. Because there are downtimes in between. I don't know if it's like that anymore because I'm sure their schedules are packed up now because they're working on so many different things. But back in the day, we did have some downtime, so we would help out with the in-game art for various games, right? So art style-wise, back in the day, I could only speak for how it was back in the day, okay? Yeah, so art style wise, they weren't as like specific as some other game companies are these days. So you could have a range of art styles, and as long as it was within a certain Blizzard art style range, they would hire you if you're a great artist. I know these days a lot of the game companies are super picky about your art style, meaning like it pretty much has to really be within a tight range of their current project they're hiring you for. So if your art style doesn't match, even though you're a really good artist, most likely they're not going to hire you. Of course, this all depends on the game company, but I'm speaking generally. They're much more pickier about your art style. At the very least, they will give you an art test to see if you can match their art style range. But that in itself is a pain in the butt to do, to be honest. It takes quite a long time to do it right. Like 1 to 2 weeks to do a art test correctly, full time, at least in my experience. But yeah, as someone who's just trying to get a foot in the door, it's worth it to do art tests. But as for someone who's working a full-time job and trying to get into a different company, it's a pain in the butt because you got to do your full-time job and do the art test, which takes full-time hours to complete and do the right way. So that's why I say it's a pain in the butt. But again, for someone just starting off, it'll at least help you build up your portfolio. And give you an opportunity, a chance at getting a job. So it's all good. You should try those things. But yeah, again, at Blizzard, if you check out like their website and previous concept art, you'll see that they have a huge range of different art styles. It's not like everyone draws the same. But again, depending at which company you apply to, some places will be very strict with their art style. What else? I'm trying to predict what you would have asked me. I had a friend who's a 3D, or I have a friend, sorry, I acted like, I said it in past tense like he was gone, but we're no longer friends. I have a friend who is a 3D artist who's been trying to work at Blizzard for quite a long time now. He's applied there probably 4 or 5 times now, and has gotten rejected 4 or 5 times now. For the 3D artists, I think they are a lot more pickier because, you know, obviously that's the assets that you'll actually see in the game, so you really have to be able to match their style pretty much perfectly when it comes to like the 3D art. But I don't know, maybe like these days they got pickier about style too. I'm not sure. I don't think they did because the last time I checked, they had again many artists who were different in their styles with concept art. For example, like Riot Games might be a bit different, where it seems like their style of artists they pick are more specific to their style. They have a tighter range, I think. What else? Anybody else have a question that you think someone who's curious about Blizzard would ask? Someone who's worked there? I would say, so maybe I could talk about why I left. The reason why I left wasn't really anything negative to Blizzard at the time, for sure. It was just time for me to leave because I did everything I probably wanted to at Blizzard. Everything was just repeating, like a different expansion, you know what I mean? So I felt like I touched upon everything I wanted to, and things were getting kind of stagnant in terms of like creativity wise. Don't get me wrong, I'm not saying it was boring or bad, but I had another opportunity to work on like some mobile games with some friends. And you know, at the time the mobile space was growing a lot, so decided it was time to try out something different. So that's why I left. I will say that the cafeteria food there is not good at all. I don't know why they can't get the food right. Why not feed your employees good food? It was always like frustrating when it was lunchtime. It's like, oh, what do they have today? Do I have to go eat out, drive somewhere to get some other food? It's kind of like that. The other thing I would say is I think it's good to have some kind of a specialty when you're applying there. Whether it's you're, a concept artist for characters or environments, or I think in your case you're going more for illustration, Jessica, right? So yeah, like be more illustration focused. I knew a guy there that did he was on the creative, what is it called? Basically he was on the I want to say marketing team, but that's not what they called it. But he did all the illustrations for, I'm not going to name names, but he did all the illustrations. A lot of the illustrations that came out of Blizzard. But I would say that's like a rare thing where you have someone just doing illustrations at a game company. That's a rare thing to see. I'm sure they have people like that at Riot Games, but again, so it's basically going to be at a larger company, you're going to see people like that. And there's still not that many people they need to do that, maybe a couple people, like full time. The rest they could just hire contract, you know what I mean? So that's something to think about. There's not too many opportunities to do that. Full time, at least. If you want to, again, just do freelance, I'm sure there are a lot of opportunities. Actually, Braum worked there too for a while. I don't know if he's still there. You guys remember Braum? The artist Braum? He was one of my first inspirations actually for doing like this kind of fantasy art stuff. Back in the day, there weren't too many like, fantasy art books that were at his level. So he was a true inspiration to me. Still super cool art he creates, I think he still paints like traditionally. But yeah, he was at Blizzard for a while. So he was a full-time like illustrator. But again, that's Braum. So again, it's a rare opportunity, right? They just probably made that position for him. And you do have some concept artists who are illustrators as well. We had a few of those at Blizzard. They could just do everything. But again, that is a rare thing. To do concept art and illustration both at a high level, it's not something easy to find. So yeah. Give me a second. Yeah, go ahead. Sorry. Alan is asking, can you speak a bit about working with other departments and teams while there? How was the social aspect? Yeah, so, yeah, give me a second. Give me a second. Sorry about that. Yeah, so again, the question is, can you speak a bit about working with other departments and teams while there? How was the social aspect? Let me see. It was cool. I mean, we worked with, yeah, everyone was cool there. Like, you guys know Samwise. When we worked on Starcraft 2, we interacted with him. He's super chill guy, super humble guy, even though, you know, he's obviously super talented and he has such a huge influence over, you know, all the artwork in Starcraft 2 and Warcraft and all that. So, but he's like such a easy person to talk to. Yeah, so like working with him was cool. Then on Diablo, worked with Victor Lee. At the time, he was the lead artist on Diablo 3. Worked with him. He was an easygoing guy too, easy to work with. We would paint over each other's work. So Victor Lee would have a design, and then I would paint over his stuff and, you know, add different designs to it, things like that. Again, the whole point was we wanted to create cool characters. We didn't really have. I'm sure there's some egos around, but for the most part, I never sensed that people had egos. We just want to create cool stuff. So there was no problem with people painting over other people's things. Things like that happened all the time. That's a part of Blizzard that I really enjoyed. Yeah. At a lot of other game companies, you don't really see that where you get to paint over people's things. But at Blizzard, at least in my department, it happened very often, almost on a daily basis. So that was cool. Yeah, like you could even like see a design that people were working on and just paint over it without talking to them. Like if you have an idea on how to make it better, and if you sent that around, people would be open to adopting your design. You know what I mean? Because again, the point is we just want to make cool stuff. We don't care about egos. We don't care who did it. We just want to make cool stuff. At least those are the type of people that you want to work with, you know? What else? What else? Alan says it's very difficult to know if those you're gonna be working with are open like that. Yeah, you don't know. But that's why, like, a lot of the times when, like, let's say we're, like, in my situation right now, my department is being grown up right now. It's a mobile division of EA, and we're just hiring like concept artists, looking for concept artists to build up the team. And that's why a lot of the times you'll end up hiring people you already know, because you know what to expect from them. You know whether or not, so you know they don't have egos, you know they're easy to work with. That's why that happens quite often, where you'll hire people that someone else knows, because they can vouch for them that, oh, this guy's cool, this guy's not crazy, you know, this guy's a team player. So that will happen a lot for that very reason, I think. To avoid like bad apples or, you know, things like that. We just hired a guy, my friend actually. So again, that happens a lot. And we actually have like a, actually I won't go into details, but yes, if you're just starting off a new job and you're working with cool people, excuse me, you should really consider yourself lucky. It's not like that everywhere you go. So stick with the job if the people are cool. Oops. Alan is asking, do you have any tips for scoping out bad actors during interviews? I think it's usually very obvious when they're not cool. Because if you have an ego or you're not a good team player, it's quite obvious if you're normal to scope or to pick those people out. Because, you know, people with egos, they talk about themselves a lot. They're not mindful of other people. They're not thinking about like how to operate as a team member. So they're very like inward focused, and they're in just their little heads, right? Their little brains. They're not outward focused. They're not thinking like as a whole, right? And so even the way they talk about things is very like self-centered instead of, again, thinking as a team, right? So it's quite obvious, honestly. And like even by the questions they ask, they won't be asking about like, you know, the team and how to work with the team and how other parts of the team works and how they would be interacting with other team members, things like that, right? Questions that the teams, or questions about challenges of the team, stuff like that. You can just tell overall when you spend hours with them throughout the day interviewing them. Now that we have like Zoom interviews, though, it might be a little more challenging, right? It probably is, to be honest. But again, you talk to someone enough, things start coming out. They can't hide all of that. Or I think it's not easy to hide all of that once you start rambling. Aldera says, and be the cool person so people would want to have you around. Yeah, for sure. The industry is small, so definitely be cool with people. Like I said before, I believe all the jobs I got after my first job were through people that I knew. I don't think I ever had to apply. It's just word of mouth. People would just call me up and say, hey, got a job opening at my work. You interested? And I would check it out. Things like that. So it's good to be a cool person. And don't be a sneaky person. Some people try to act like they think they're being slick about being cool, but they're actually like, you know, using people. We see you. You're not fooling anybody. You know what I mean? There's some people like that who think they're being slick about it, but you're not. You're being silly. I'm just not saying anything to you. It's not like I have to point it out, right? That, hey, you're not fooling anybody. I don't have to say that, I just won't talk to you. But those are less common, people like that. Most people are cool. Let's see, any other questions that Jessica would ask? Let me think. I'm trying to read the mind of Jessica right now. Use my psychic abilities. Channeling. Oh yeah, so another thing I could say is when you apply to a place like Blizzard, even if you get rejected but they give you feedback, let's say, it's good to try to develop a relationship with whoever is responding to you. Meaning, what that means is, you know, if they gave you feedback, if you're lucky to get feedback, then, you know, respond to them. Tell them you appreciate the feedback. Tell them that you'll update things and get back to them. So for example, you can work on your portfolio, and in a couple months, like 2-3 months later, you could email them back with the updated portfolio, right? To show them that you're working on things, to you know, just to see if things are getting better, things like that. Don't bug them. but you know, in the appropriate time, reply back and show them updates. And you could build some kind of a relationship with whoever the hiring manager is or the artist that's reviewing your work is. I've had plenty of people email me, like random people, and again, usually I think most of the time, maybe I missed a few here and there, but most of the time I'll reply back. Maybe not immediately, but you know, whenever I can. Alright, let's get moving with this guy. I was just noodling it without even thinking too much. Let's flesh this guy out a bit more. This is more relaxing for me, just having fun though. No real pressure. See, actually let me go back and add some darks before I add my highlights on this grayish armor. Darken up some areas. Hey, if you like these streams, please give me a like real quick. I'd appreciate that. And give me a moment. I will take a short break. I'll be back in a minute, okay? Alright, I'm back. So, yeah, going along with what I was talking about with how we worked with other artists. We did work closely with, the concept artists would work closely with the 3D artists as well. So we would go over to the desk of the 3D artist and check out what they're working on. If you know they're working on your concept, obviously, so you would give them feedback. If there's any clarification that needs to happen, it would happen there. And again, everyone's super cool. It wasn't like all serious or anything. We would just, it's like talking to a friend, you know, saying, hey, not sure about this, try this, or oh, you read that part wrong, I think. You know what I mean? But again, not all places are like that. Some places, like, only the art director can give direction on those things. And, you know, it's not a wrong or right thing. It's just depends on the studio style of how they work. Alright. Few more darks here. Let's add some highlights. Oh yeah, and you have time to have fun as well, meaning, you know, played a lot. I played a lot of ping pong when I was there. A lot of foosball. A lot of Starcraft. With the guys working there. Some World of Warcraft. I had to quit World of Warcraft because I was playing too much. It was gonna ruin my marriage, so I had to quit that one. It was just too time consuming. And but yeah, Starcraft, a lot of Starcraft. That was fun. Anyways, Jessica, I hope that answers some of the questions that you had. If you had specific questions, yeah, just reach out and ask again. I know I told you my schedule's packed, so it's hard right now for me to create some time to meet with other people, but yeah, hopefully I helped answer some of the questions you had in the stream. One more thing I think you might ask is, let me see. So yeah, if you want to learn how to get better at Blizzard style, maybe that's a question you would ask. And a lot of people ask that question. So the answer is simple. Look at Blizzard art, look at Blizzard concept art, look at Blizzard illustrations, the ones that you like, obviously, and then copy it. I would first copy it. If your style is off from Blizzard style, just copy it. That's how you learn. It's just like doing a master copy. If you guys know like how art schools work, we'll do master copies. Meaning like, you know, like find an artist that you like back in the day who was really good and just straight up copy it. And that's how you figure out how did they get this look, right? This style, how did they create this look? And it makes you study it and look closely at things. And that's how, no one has to tell you like how they did it. You're gonna figure it out as you're copying it, right? Maybe you won't figure out everything, but you will figure out a lot of it. So that's my recommendation, just copy it first. So after you do a few copies and you're more familiar with that particular style, then I would say use what you learned from copying and apply it to your own concept. So for example, one thing you could do is, let me think of an example. Let's say there's an Overwatch character that you like, right? I don't even know their name, sorry. Oh, maybe I know one of them. It's is it Lucio? Anyways, choose a Overwatch character that you like and redesign the character, okay? What is your take on that character? You know what I mean? And redesign it. Or do a skin for it. You could do a skin for it and then learn or apply everything that you learn from the copies into this reskin design. That's one way of doing it. Or again, redesign your own interpretation of that character. If you were the concept artist and you had these guidelines, let's say this character flies or is on roller skates, abilities is to heal people, like how would you make this character look? So redesign it. That's good practice as well. Is that Lucio Aldera? Okay, cool. But yeah, and the other cool thing about doing reskins or redesigns of existing characters is that you can use that as a marketing tool as well. So whenever people like recruiters or hiring managers or art directors are looking at a portfolio, at least the way my mind works is if I see that you redesigned a certain character that already exists, it actually makes things interesting for me because then I could see your thinking, right? Behind like how you're designing, why you chose to do this or that. If you made any improvements on the original design, it's something that becomes more relatable to me because I know, for example, who this character is, and then I could directly kind of see what your thinking was as you're redesigning the character or creating a skin for that character. Instead of like just seeing a random character on your portfolio, then I have no relationship to it. So I might just skim over it, But if I see, a redesign of whatever character or a reskin of this specific character that I know, then it will draw my attention to it, right? Out of the hundreds of portfolios I'm looking at that I'm sick of, right? I'm seeing the same orc, the same whatever, you know what I mean? Same Space Marine. Oh, it's a Husky Space Marine, you know what I mean? Something has to stand out in your portfolio amongst the sea of artists or portfolios that are out there. So that's something for you guys to think about as well. It's like, is my portfolio really standing out amongst the sea of artists that are out there? Because when we're hiring people, we're literally looking at hundreds of portfolios, and most of them are mediocre, So how are you going to stand out? How are you going to set yourself apart? That's the question. So again, that's why I would recommend copying first, do redesigns or reskins of characters, and that's how you'll get more and more familiar with their style. And in general, companies like seeing that, it shows that you're also a fan of their games, right? Or their art. When they see that you're doing fan art or character redesigns, reskins of their characters. It's a positive thing. So as an illustrator, I think it's 100% good to do fan art if you're an illustrator, because that's what it is. You're going to be using reference anyways from that company's artwork, right? To create the illustrations for them. You will be using their reference, their designs. So what's wrong with that, right? A lot of people ask me okay, is it okay to do fan art? I'm like, yes, why not? That's how I know a lot of people at Blizzard got their jobs too, is by doing fan art. But of course it has to be really, really good fan art, right? always think like, how am I going to improve what they currently have? And if you can improve upon what they have on their websites, then why wouldn't they hire you? If you can prove to them that you can do a better job than even they've done, then why wouldn't they hire you? Right? And you obviously like their stuff because you're drawing it. Why wouldn't they hire you? I would. Any other questions, anyone? Please ask. No questions, huh? Yeah, but in general, the company culture makes a big difference in your experience with working. That's something that I guess people don't really think about too much, because you just want a job, which is fine. I don't think you should have to think about all that stuff too much for your first job. But it is something that it is important later on, in my opinion. I've been at companies where there's nothing really wrong with it, but it was just so boring, because most of the people, they're just clocking in and out and they just want to get home, which is now understandable to me because I'm older now and I have kids, so I understand why they were like that at the time now. But again, when I was younger, I was like, man, these guys are boring. They don't want to do anything. But it's because they don't have enough time and they want to spend time with their family. So that's why they were like that. But again, if you're younger, just starting off, then, you know, it's ideal to be around other younger people and other artists that you could learn from, right? Work together and learn from. Have some synergy, work off of each other's energy, ideas, creativity. That part's really fun. Add some scratches here and there. More highlights. What's the most desired game company to work at right now? Or what are the top 3? That's what I want to know. What are the top 3 game companies that you guys think people want to work at right now? Curious. It's hard for me to follow. Well, sorry, maybe it's not hard, but I just don't follow any of that. So I don't know what's cool these days. I imagine that Riot Games would be one of them. But you guys tell me, please. What do you guys hear? Or from your perspective, what's a game company that sounds cool to work for? Again, from what I know, I thought it'd be Riot Games, because they have like great benefits for the employees and stuff like that. But again, I don't know. That's just from the very little stuff that I've seen. Ubisoft? Aldera says Ubisoft. Interesting. Yeah, again, I don't know. What makes Ubisoft seem welcoming or appealing? I'm interested in hearing. And anyone else have opinions about that? I'm not saying like which is the best place to work for. I'm not asking for an answer. I'm just saying like perception wise. I'm curious about your guys' perception, right? Of what seems like would be a good place to work for and why. And you don't even have to explain why. Just curious. Aldera says, I've seen their junior applications and they seem to like helping junior artists get in the door and grow. Also, they have great benefits, but this is all just from an application. I haven't heard anything from any employees. Cool. Thanks for sharing that. Anyone else? How about this? Oh, AreaNet, or sorry, ArenaNet. Sorry. All right, cool. What about this then? What about this? So again, what places would be good? And what about the worst? What are like some of the worst, well-known game company that you wouldn't want to work for, that has bad reputation? Is it Blizzard now? I know Blizzard's reputation went down the toilet from where it was at before. Again, it's weird. Like, I don't really like follow any of it. I just hear from people, so I'm like, oh, okay. That's sad. But yeah, what are the places that are well-known game companies that you do not want to work for or that you heard bad things about? Of course, don't talk about the small game companies because I'm sure there's a lot of them, but like the more well-known ones. And why, if you guys know. Oh, maybe you guys don't want to talk about it because then you'll never get a job there. I'm just joking. They'll blacklist you. You guys are smarter than me. You're not saying anything bad. That's good. That was a test. Oh, places that overwork their employees? Yeah. Yep, that's something that a lot of game companies have to figure out. I mean, I honestly understand why it's difficult, but at the same time, it's in a way it is a excuse for the game companies, and part of it is they just want to make things better. But there's no end to making things better, right? And at the same time, you're like draining people's souls, right? Killing them slowly. And you don't want to do that either. So yeah, that actually is the issue. I think things have gotten better in general in the industry, but and probably because people sued. But anyways, yeah, I think it's still an issue. To be honest. And when you're younger, it's not a big deal. Like, from my experience, like, you know, you want to get better, you want to learn. So why not just do the best you can and push yourself, right? But when you have a family, it's like a completely different thing. You need to give like employees like time to like spend time with their families, you know? We're human beings. We're not machines. But again, I understand why. The field is so competitive. You're competing against other game companies, things like that. I guess like they gotta just hire more people. But once you hire more people, it's like, oh, we can do more now. So then you stretch like your wish list. Like all the wish list items become like, for the company, become like things we have to do now because we have the manpower, or we think we do. But then at the end of the day, we gotta stretch ourselves thin because to finish certain things, right? That we added onto the whole list of things we needed to do. So it actually never ends, to be honest. There is no end to what we can do to improve the game. That looks like grenade arms. Our time is almost up. Again, if you could give me a like, I appreciate that. I hope you guys stay focused this week. That you guys are all able to focus on your projects and get stuff done. That you guys have fun learning. Sometimes we forget to have fun. We gotta work hard, but don't forget to have fun, alright? We're doing this because it's fun, isn't it? We're not doing this so we could torture ourselves. I hope not. Unless you're doing orthos. If you're doing orthos, you guys are torturing yourselves. But yeah, I mean, I got into this to have fun. And that's why I work my butt off. So I can get a job doing something fun, right? Why work your butt off to do something you hate? So yeah, remember that. Work hard, but always have fun. If you're not having fun, figure out how to have fun. Take a step back, stop what you're doing and say, how can I make this more fun for myself? Because I'm not having fun right now. And when you're having fun is when you're going to feel the most motivated. Don't get me wrong, there's going to be times where it's not going to be fun. And you just got to push through those times. But yeah, if you can make it fun, why not, right? All right. Oh. Aldura says, I've been distracted by my new pet bird this week, but I'm trying to get my focus back. What bird did you get? Aldura says, kind of jumping back and forth between two projects. Yeah, so what bird did you end up getting, Aldura? Society finch. I had finches before, but what's a society finch? Oh, interesting. Cool. Oh, you only got one. Yeah, I think they like being in pairs. I used to have I think I had two of them, yeah. It was at least two. Those are the birds that, like, they flew away and then they came back a couple days later. Which was funny. I think they just got hungry. Anyways, cool. I'm glad you got a pet. Pets are cool. Animals are cool. I will have a good week, everyone. I will see you guys next week, alright? See ya. Bye.